Hi, welcome everyone to this edition of Senior Compass. Katie at the Adult Community Center has so kindly given us the space to talk about an upcoming event that's going to happen in Marshall. It's October 5th, that's a Thursday, and it's going to be a dementia education event. In fact, this book we're going to be featuring, it's called Creating Moments of Joy. It's written by Jolene Brackey, and Jolene is a nationally known speaker. My name is Jane Warloggy, and with me today is Jan Mason. And Jan, tell us more about your role here in the community.
Well, like she said, my name is Jan Mason, and I am the Licensed Assisted Living Director over at Boulder Creek here in Marshall, Minnesota. We're a 31-bed secured facility. We're broken down into 2 different neighborhoods, and you have to have a memory diagnosis in order to be in our facility. So
that works, and as I said when I held up the book before, Jolene Brackey, it may be a familiar name to you. She was last here in 2017, and then she was scheduled to come, that would have been last spring, and guess what, it snowed. So this is happening again. I mentioned before that her sessions, or I wanted to explain more about her session, will be here in town, and we're looking forward to a morning session and then a nice luncheon break and then an afternoon session. And there is a small fee to attend, and actually some credits too for professionals to come and learn more about dementia and just be more aware of approaches you can take. I should mention too that the event is going to be at the Living Word Lutheran Church. And I wanted to say too, even though the paperwork might say the registration deadline is September 25th, if you're hearing this now, we want you to just come on. You might not be able to get a lunch that day, but come on in, because there'll be plenty of space in that large church for you to hear the speaker who could really help you learn more about dementia and why, in the first place, why we want to know about dementia. We'll give you some more details about how to register as we go on tonight. I was saying the program that we're offering is our fall event for the Marshall Area Dementia Awareness Network. Now that's a mouthful, Jan, but we're made up of different people here in town. We might be a volunteer, a community member, an agency, the clinic. It might be an actual care provider like Boulder Creek is. And we're all coming together to offer different types of education. And we've been doing this now probably over 15 years as a group. And with this one, we are looking to bring Jolene back because she has made such an impact with her approach. She's got a unique way of helping, whether it's a family member or staff member or just the community in general, understand what dementia is. And maybe, Jan, now we could take a break and you might give a little bit more about what dementia is.
Well, you know, dementia is one of those funny things. You can't just fit it into a box and make it fit. The one thing that all dementias have in common is that there are at least 2 parts of the brain dying at the same time. Sometimes it's more. Okay. But it manifests in so many different ways in different people, and depending on where they are in the journey, it looks very, very different.
It's so unique to each person, isn't it?
Very much so. And in the beginning, it just seems like, oh, you know, I might have just, you know, misplaced my keys or this, that, or the other. But there are many things that go along with it that before you get an actual memory diagnosis. But I think the most important thing that we want to know and that people should know is that dementia is not a normal part of aging. Right. That is not, you know, what aging is about. Although people, as they age, do get dementia, there are younger people that get it as well.
Right, and that's a good point. I think that's one of the reasons we want to be here too. It's like the idea of getting older, you want to think, oh, the joyful part of my life. But the other side of this is that with advanced age comes more of the risk factor of having some form of dementia. And I think it's come so far. I started in my career in the aging field way back in the 70s, and we had such a different idea about how to help people with dementia. It was more about retraining their brain or making people go through exercises that would help. And while some of that's all well and good, but this is just such a new, or I think better approach. I know that in your facility, for instance, you've done so many unique things. It brought to mind too, like we talk about how our brain works. Do we know how it works on a good day? I'm not sure. How we remember things. And I think one of the toughest things to say to someone that has some kind of memory loss, because some days are better than others, but you might come up and approach them with, well, don't you remember when you go to do a visit? How does that work in your facility?
It's very easy to slip into those easy patterns of don't you remember, and those are some of the worst things that you can say to someone with dementia. But we try and distract, we try and redirect people, but we also validate what they're feeling and what's going on and what they're talking about. And sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense because as their journey progresses, you get kind of what's called word salad. But
you know, I'm comparing this a little bit. I was at the park with my 2-year-old granddaughter this morning, and it was neat to see how many things she has learned in the time that I've just known her this short time. But she's advancing in her knowledge and learning new things all the time. Where someone facing a dementia diagnosis, a memory loss diagnosis, is kind of losing some of those faculties.
yes, I'm an old Head Start teacher. Oh. And so I was amazed at the similarities. The very things that in Head Start we were trying to work on, such as the sweeping motion with your fingers when you're trying to pick up a Cheerio and developing those skills.
Oh,
those are the
pincer
very
grasp.
ones, yes, that we are trying to keep those connections.
Oh, maintain it.
Yes.
That's, yep.
And so there's along the way you see as, you know, in Head Start people are progressing in the same way people with dementia are regressing.
But again, how can we maintain that? And like we know there's no cure for these things, but like how can we maintain the abilities? And I think the big point and the emphasis we have with Jolene is to find the joy in the day. Is more about celebrating the moment. I've enjoyed knowing about her. In fact, Jolene, I think I've known her almost 30 years, if it's that quite a long time. She was a graduate of Iowa State, and she did some speaking here in Minnesota back when she started her career. And it's so interesting when you hear her talk. She's trained as an interior decorator. She's got a degree in that. But she found she didn't like that work, and she says she went across the street to the memory care unit and got a job and just found her way there. But I like how she has so many different approaches to whether it's yourself and feeling good about yourself and bringing joy, or about the environment. She does a lot like that, and you can speak to that because you've done some of those things in your building too. Maybe we could talk about, you mentioned something special about in your programming, you went and got a couple of old dressers?
We did. So one of the things that we did not very long ago, I would say it was around October of last year, we went through, Jolene not only has the book, but it's also broken out into videos, each chapter, and it's really easy to follow.
Okay.
It's done with humor, and what's wonderful about it is you can literally take what you listen to and use it immediately. Wow. You can walk out the room and go, okay, I can do this. So you feel empowered. And so we used it not only with our staff, but we also used it with our family members in our dementia support group.
Okay.
Because I truly believe education is the key. And to stick our head in the sand and deny doesn't help us, but to know what's going on and get as many tools as we can. And Jolene is wonderful. She has these neat tips and tricks that really help. So like you talked about, the dresser, that was one of the things we did. She talked about a treasure box. Well, we had the opportunity, we're broken into 2 neighborhoods like I talked about. Somebody was getting rid of a couple of dressers. They were solid, they were nice, so we put them in our main area.
Oh, wow.
And what
An
we
interior
did,
decorator might not do that, but
right. Yep, but they're great, they look nice. We have a nice doily on top and maybe some flowers, but inside are the treasures. And I literally went to the Vera Marshall thrift store.
Okay.
And I sat there and I filled it up to the brim with all these treasures. And these treasures might be a little thing, a belt buckle. It could be a little purse. It might be an old wallet. It
Or
could
pictures.
be pictures. It could be.
They might not even be people that anyone needs to know.
Yep.
Or,
We have some of the grandma, that you show off the grandma photo albums.
Okay.
I filled those up with people from different eras of things that might they might recognize and makes them feel at home.
yeah, and what we're getting at here is finding joy, putting joy into the day. I also think Jolene kind of has this universal life philosophy, like enjoy now, the moment. How can you make that better for someone? And for someone who, what do they do all day long? And again, their brain doesn't have the power it once did, but what can they still do that will make them feel good?
Oh, they can do a lot of stuff. One of the things that we really work hard at is whatever they do to make them feel successful and to make it purposeful. So let's look at like painting. Okay, many people from that generation, you had to color inside the lines, and it's really difficult, especially as you're losing those fine motor skills, or you might be a little bit shakier and stuff. So we got these water paints, and literally you just paint with water. And as you paint, and it doesn't matter where you paint, each stroke brings out beautiful, vibrant colors, and at the end you have a masterpiece. And they're so proud,
Yes.
and that's the thing. And one of the things we did was we decorated cookies. Now, granted, they didn't all look the same. They weren't exactly, and one person, their sprinkles were up probably 2 inches high. But they were so proud of it, and it was theirs, and they did it all by themselves.
And it isn't like it's going like a childish kind of way either. It's you can do these activities that bring strong, just good memories and emotions for someone who used to work in the kitchen a lot or did something that was like a craft project like that. I like that. And again, with the rummaging in the drawers, it might be a time of day.
Yes. So the reason why we did it, we have a lot of exit seeking and people that are searching for something in the late afternoon, evening hours. It's called sundowning. That's when the brain is tired. And so, can you imagine being like, you're looking for something and you have this feeling of unrest and you're not necessarily comfortable even in your own skin at this moment. And you keep searching for something and you don't see anything that you do.
That's familiar, yeah.
And so this is giving them an opportunity to find something that looks familiar. And if they grab onto it and hold it and take it home to their suite for the day, that's okay.
Now, what you're describing, I think one of the other big points about our coming speaker is that she really wants you to change your approach.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before about don't you remember or tell me what you had for lunch. Those are hard questions to answer for someone who has some form of memory loss. So I love that the onus is on us, like how it's up to us then to bring out the best in them or help them have a good day. It's not about, like, respond to me, whether it's your mom or your husband, a loved one of, like how your good friend, your neighbor, where you go in and ask them, like, how's Sally, your daughter, doing? That's really hard to answer. But if you can help them, like, just remember the neighborhood or talk through some of the streets or just, what color, help people have a good day.
I have a great example. We had the couple weeks ago, people were really struggling. It was in the evening, and it was like there was a lot of unrest in the neighborhood, and it was time for us to eat dinner. and nobody wanted, you know, they were too busy. They weren't going to eat dinner. So I remembered one of the things actually that Jolene had talked about, and she talked about the church ladies. Well, so I sat there and I was like, oh my goodness. I can't believe it. You should smell what the church ladies are making. And I said, and they've made it special for you. And, you know, and then it was, as we're trying to get him over, I said, oh, you don't want to make the church ladies mad. Come on, let's get down and sit down. And
they were serving that special salad?
they were serving that special salad.
Okay.
It was
just kind of keep...
Well, we had just gone to the fair, and it was fair time, and we were having cucumber salad. And so in order to engage and to bring it forward, I said, I think this was one of the blue ribbons winners over at the fair.
Okay.
And I said, isn't that neat that they brought their special cucumbers here to make the salad just for us? And a lot of the folks had participated in the fair, brought things themselves. And so it brought all kinds of conversation, and they started talking about their pie that they brought or their jam. And
that got a purple ribbon.
Yep, absolutely. And they were in between everybody was tasting it and talking about how good it was, and pretty soon we were all a part of that Clean Plate Club.
And it was enjoyable.
It was enjoyable, and we were still talking about it. And actually, one of the ladies who used to work with Extension, she brought out some of her old ribbons and her things.
She went to her room and pulled things out.
Yes,
that's
so that
good.
we were able to reminisce a little bit more.
And that's pretty special what happens there as your team, your staff works with that. And I know you've included families to help them too. I know for some of the folks watching today too, it might be you have a loved one at home yet, where that's what's wonderful about Jolene's book. There's so many tips that if we just think about something in a different way. I'm remembering you talked about a bath routine too, like what works there?
Yes, so a lot of people, they struggle with bath time. Part of it becomes fear of bathing, and then also just because the older generation, when they, you know, didn't have the water available, just, you know, with the faucets and everything.
Or for laundry either.
For laundry either, you know, and everything like that. And so what they did, if it wasn't noticeably soiled, you hung it back up and you used it again. You maybe, you know, got the dust off of it, but you wore it again. You didn't just throw things in the laundry after one use like we do today. And also, they didn't take a bath every day. It was a lot of work. And to haul that water from the wells, and
so our conveniences now of, you know,
it makes
every day a
big
shower
difference.
or something, for instance, it's not what their habits are.
Right, but they usually before church on Sunday, so Saturday night, they got cleaned up and they took a bath and got squeaky clean. And one of the things that was pretty neat, because we had a couple of people who absolutely would not take a bath, and after it's Saturday night. Yeah. You know, and even if it's Tuesday, it's still Saturday night. And
Jan, I can remember this personally as I'm old enough, as a young kid too, where we would do the bath routine and before, in anticipation of church, of course, the next day. But it was like Gunsmoke's going to be on. You had to get ready to watch Gunsmoke, or like some of those things that are just part of your childhood memory. And how to bring back those good feelings, honestly, is what we're looking for. She's just such an exceptional speaker. Again, it's creating moments of joy. It's gotten such great reviews. And as Jolene has been going around, well, the United States, but I think the world too, this is the 5th edition of this book. And she keeps adding in new examples. And the book is wonderful how it takes you through the, just the different times this person, as they progress, and what might need to be changed. And again, the big point I want to make today, and why we're bringing this to you, is that it's about us changing. So I want you to come and be at this event with us on October 5th. We'll give you more details. One thing about it is you can call to register, and one of the members of Maydan is ACE of Lyon County, so that's Advocate, Connect, and Educate. And that phone number for Angie at ACE is 507-532-1326. 1326, and it'll be on your screen, but you can check with Angie too about more information. I also, another member of our organization has been the library staff, and again, wanting to do this in a positive way. Or I should say Marshall Lyon County Library, the whole library. But we have these wonderful book bags, and what they are, Jan, is memory kits. And now what I'm looking at here is a memory kit that you can check out from the library, and it goes right along this theme that we have today about empowering a visit. So you can check these out. I've used them with all ages, like young people too, but within this is a nice program for how to use it. There's going to be some books, there's going to be some tactile items, there's going to be things that you can hold and engage a person with. I don't know if I'll take them all out today.
Yep, as you bring it out.
Did you use some of these things?
Yes, our activities folks, they go and they pick them up according to the themes. What they love about it is they can pick it up, they can feel it, and it brings back those memories.
The regulations.
Yep, and starts them really talking about things and thinking about it.
The greatest stories, this was something that worked so well for my mom, was stories kept her going. This is the greatest hunting stories ever told. And I like that you're talking about, you do themes that you're building.
We do,
There's
and
even a feather in there.
that way we're kind of immersed in the different themes, and they see it wherever they're going during that particular period, and we're able to really build on it and talk about it so much that it helps to bring back those different memories, you know.
And I think this is something that can remind you that it's the simplest thing that could help. Again, with making this more approachable, there's so much at our library you can check out, whether it's on like specific topics about dementia, different kinds of dementias, or if it's going to be something you want to maybe tell children about dementia. The library has these books and these kits, but it's just a good way of expanding. And I really think because of Jolene, this is something that got kicked off, and it's something that then Maydan was able to fund with some grants, and then our local programs that are fundraising too. But kind of what an assortment. But
I know, it's a wonderful, and they do, depending, I mean, they have just many, many different bags with different type things. It could be from trees to leaves to cooking to baking to hunting. You name it, it's in there. I think right now at our place we're doing bread baking. And so we're going to bring about those sensory items, and that's part of what that helps us do.
because so often what we're going to say is there's so much stigma or so much denial or so much, but make it easy and find these tools that can help you have a good, productive visit. I know we've talked a lot to Jan about Boulder Creek, but also over at Heritage Point, the memory unit there, they do some amazing things as well, where it's about engaging, and there's so much possibilities if you want to, put joy in your day. And I think, again, it's something that all of us want is to have a better day. So.
Well, and I think it's important, that family members, even if you think that my loved one's not that far along, they're not that bad yet. These are the things where this is the time when you actually need to read the book. You need to learn so that you have the tools available for you to help you through, for both you and your loved one to get through and have a better time.
Right.
I've had people, the caregivers, who are so exhausted because they're trying to do it on their own.
That was a good point, because you talked about all the things that your staff does there and working together, and all the different departments, by the way, whether it's housekeeping or the nursing staff or the dietary department, on and on, for everybody who's doing things. And then if you're home alone trying to do these things with your loved one, yes, you can do this, but find some support, find some avenues like this to give you refreshment.
And it's out there, and there's not just, there's creating moments of joy, there's other things that you can get at the library, like you talked about. There are support groups in the community, there's respite care that's available, there's all kinds of different things. But I can tell you that once many of those families, those same families that were so tired, that were so exhausted and didn't know where to turn, their time now can be spent joyfully.
Yes, they can find a connection.
Yep, they can enjoy those moments versus it being a drudgery and not looking forward to it and being a constant fight because they find the easier way.
And again, you've said this before too, we can't expect that person who has the memory loss to change. It's like how we approach it, how we can change and still feel like we're doing what we could do, should do, want to do to make it a better day.
Yeah, one of the things that Jolene talks about there is what we're feeling. So the person with dementia may not be able to verbalize it necessarily, but say we are having a really tough day and we're frustrated or angry or
Could
upset.
be for any reason.
I stubbed my toe and I had a flat tire and this, that, and the other. And I come in and I just, ugh.
Yeah.
And I can sit there and I can smile, but that doesn't change the internal feelings that are happening. And so with those internal feelings, if I'm bringing those in when we're trying to visit or work together, what are you feeling?
Yeah. And for any of us, how we might approach our day, and then the main thing is that how we want to make that person feel at the end.
So if you're having a really tough day and you're very upset or whatever, take a breather.
Before you come.
Yeah,
or
give yourself a timeout or don't come at all. And there's no shame in that because you're just going to, the person with dementia will remember how you made them feel, not necessarily what you said.
Right. So take that tip. So again, we're just wanting you to come to this event. We will be posting this around town, and I know it'll be here on the video screen for you to enjoy. So thank you for listening to me and Jan today.
Thank you. I hope to see you there.